Hello, welcome to a new video. In today's video we're gonna take a look again at Toxtricity. If you have not seen my last video about Toxtricity in the Open Ultra League, check it out, it's gonna be linked in the end card. Today we're gonna take a look at the Open Great League. Of course, Great League is not available right now, and so we're gonna test some test battles here today. Before we start into the battles as well, I have to say one thing. There are going to be a few battles in here today where I definitely did not play how I would usually play. Main reason is I got very much distracted from other people during the battles. Had to fix the Nintendo Switch at one point, and I just didn't really had the time to really pay attention. The issue is for me, a lot of times those are test battles against people online. I ask online for them to send me invites. I don't really want to let them wait, and I was not expecting that I would have a little bit of distraction in between. But still, most of the battles were totally normal, but we're gonna see a lot of very weird plays by me today. We can laugh about them because they were silly, a lot of very silly plays because I couldn't pay attention at the same time. I'm really bad at multitasking, I have to say. And so, yeah, like, it is what it is. Still, thanks so much for all of you sending me some battles. We're going to have a lot of good gameplay here today as well. We're going to see a lot of positive things about Toxtricity and also a few negative things about Toxtricity. But also, here we're going to see the first battle, and we're going to see a big wild shot from this Pokemon. This Pokemon is an insane attack stat here as well as a wild shot, which is stab, which is super effective, which can one-shot Dugongs. But yeah, I just want to make sure. Sorry for my opponents as well, they had to battle there because like they're going to be like, again, I'm asking a lot of times on Twitter for battles. I may be gonna shift that over as well. I know there's currently the boycott of Twitter, rightfully so, to be fair. I don't really want to go too much into detail, but I feel like, yeah, it's definitely something that I might gonna do as well in the future. But yeah, there were a lot of some sloppy plays here as well. For example, here I stayed in for a little bit too long as well in the Marowak, which was definitely something that I didn't want to do. That just, yeah, was a bit of a tricky one. But as you can see here, we're gonna have the Extra coming through against the opponent. It's still gonna do some nice damage. I sure went for the Discharge instead because the Extra doesn't do enough damage. And so we're forced to go for another shield here. And like, there are a lot of not really ideal plays here from me so far. As we will see next, it's going to be, again, that Golurk. Golurk is going to be able to now go ahead and go up against our Marowak. It's going to knock us out with a Shadow Punch. And now all of a sudden we have Golurk against the Toxtricity. And here we're going to have talking point number one. The ground type weakness is way more impactful in the Great League compared to the Ultra League. There are more Mud Slappers in the Great League compared to the Ultra League right now. And this is definitely very much visible here today. The one thing about this though is that while this is something that's definitely visible here today as well, there have been way more Mud Slappers than what I would usually see. I know that people know, of course, that I'm running Toxtricity and I don't really want to blame them or anything like this. But yeah, definitely I saw some very weird Mud Slappers as well today where I'm like, yeah, okay, that's yes, of course, not really a chance for me there. So I feel like I kind of should take a look at this Pokemon again as well, as soon as the Great League format is coming around again as well, which is going to be next week. Actually, we're going to have a Retro Cup available, which I still have to take a look at as well. But this cup is definitely usually one of the better ones, so I'm kind of excited for this one. Definitely stay tuned for some teams with Toxtricity there as well. I think this Pokemon has some nice potential. Even though maybe the meta itself there is not really as ideal for it, and as we're gonna see here, what I mean as well with like just random Mud Slappers, like what is Excadrill doing here today? We have some even more random ones coming up. But again, we have test battles here. I don't really care too much about it. Like, you can run whatever you want to do, and I am not gonna be sitting here complaining about test battles. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Thanks everyone who sends me battles. I just appreciate it. That's all I can say about this one. It doesn't bother me the slightest to, yeah, getting a Mud Slap down in every single game here. That is totally okay. But yeah, good game to the opponent there. Very nice. Excadrill actually a cool Pokemon though. Like, I don't really want to play them. Did you see the pause there in the beginning with the Miltank? Like, I have no idea. It took like ages for this battle to start. I had no idea what was happening. I was like, okay, what's going on? Well, eventually it did start. We're going to have here the Miltank against an Elite. Of course, with 2 points speed here, but nearly we see that the pause in the beginning was not as impactful usually. But like, yeah, if you take a look at the pause in the beginning, it was like with half of the speed of watching the video, you would see that there was like 4 or 5 seconds of doing nothing, which was kind of weird. But yeah, anyway, we're going to see the Annihilate coming in here. We're going to have the Discharge coming through, getting a shield from the opponent, and we can definitely take one hit. Definitely have to say that Charger Bug was one of the Pokemon that surprised me very positively. This Pokemon still has a lot of play, even though people kinda throw it away. Like, nobody is really running this Pokemon currently. Very strong Pokemon to run currently, I have to say. This thing definitely was very, very solid to play. Marowak, of course, also is very, very cool, as it's going to have access to that buffed Mud Slap and buffed Bone Club. Very nice that Rockset got nerfed though, because otherwise this Pokemon would be a little bit too strong. And now we're gonna take a look at, yeah, I want to say Toxtricity, but we actually decided to go into the Charging Bug. That is all fine. Those battles were actually the early battles where I wasn't distracted. I started, of course, off where I knew I would have had time, but it is what it is. We're gonna see the Crocodile coming in, and can we one-shot this one with a Wild Charge? We did our best job basically possible here in order to get us in a position where we can one-shot them, and we can one-shot them here, and this is going to be a good game. Next opponent here, this is going to be actually the first battle that I did, and we're going to encounter the hardest core breaker for this team, which is funnily enough Gligar. And yes, this team is not designed to beat Gligar. Yeah, it is not a Pokemon in the meta right now. Like, Gligar just doesn't exist in the meta, which is totally okay. That our team is weak to a Pokemon that doesn't exist in the meta, and so I am totally okay with this team being weak to Gligar. I don't think this makes the team worse by any means. But, of course, yeah, Gligar is very tricky for this team to deal with. It's kind of mad. Honestly, I feel like Gligar has a lot of potential in the current meta, and I feel like that actually maybe Night Slash Gligar even has some more potential. If you think about it, there are quite a lot of decent Ghost-type Pokemon currently around as well, especially the Drifblim that really got more popular recently. And if you think about the current meta, I actually feel like Gligar has a lot of potential, so I could see this Pokemon getting a little bit more play in the future again. I feel like that Wing Attack might be even the better move to go for as well, just because you still do stab damage and do a lot of damage with it. But here we're gonna see that the opponent is going to have the Poliwrath in the back. One thing as well, as I saw a frame drop there, the gameplay was definitely way smoother than yesterday. Yesterday I saw like the video with Shadow Flygon, the Legend team. Definitely should check that video out as well. As I said in that video as well, the game was horrible to play, and like it was the worst day ever. I didn't really have issues at all today. I only had like a few frame drops, but they were never really impactful, I think. And so I'm totally happy with the gameplay today here. I can't really complain about it again. You're going to see some of the battles as well that I'm going to talk about where I definitely make huge mistakes based on not being able to really do anything. Or like because I didn't really pay attention because I had other people trying to talk to me at the same time. But as you will see here, we're still gonna have a +1 Wild Charge coming through against the Lantern. Very bulky Pokemon, not super effective, like neutral, what I mean with this one. It nearly knocked them out, good game to the opponent. Very cool old school team there. Next opponent, Obstagoon, and that kinda tricked me a little bit. I kinda like this as well. The opponent is going to have Lick as a fast move. This is unusual for this Pokemon, but maybe even understandable. Because, yeah, Counter got nerfed. Counter is a not stab move, Lick is a non-stab move. Both of them generate energy fast, like as fast as each other, basically. Lick has the advantage of being a one-turn fast move, which is really, really cool. I still think Counter is the better one to go for, but in this scenario, it actually worked out really well for them. As we see here, we're still going to be able to align ourselves. I didn't need to go for the charge move, and I'm really sad that I did go for the charge move, because at the end of the day, as you're going to see here as well, if I went for one discharge, I would have had a shield advantage against the opponent, and this is kind of needed. And this is another talking point number 2 around Toxtricity. Shields down, this Pokemon goes to town. Shields up, this Pokemon... Okay, I cannot really say the next part, but it's not as great, I want to say, of course, here. This Pokemon is not as great in the 2-shield scenario if the opponent has a lot of fast move pressure, and this is something that I see a lot more in the Open Great League compared to the Open Ultra League, that fast move pressure is way more common here, and so that's something definitely that Toxtricity does not appreciate too much in the current meta here. Good game to the opponent, though. I think we're slowly getting to those battles that I kind of don't want to watch because they're embarrassing, but we're gonna stick it to it here. We're gonna see the Bone Club coming through. They're gonna go into a Dugong. All fine for me. All fine for me. We're gonna go ahead, go into our own Charger Bug. This should knock them out, right? We have super effective Volt Switches. We have the opponent half health. We're going to have a super effective Stab Discharge coming through, and they still survive it. But this also showcases from battle number 1 on how strong actually Toxtricity's Wild Charge was to one-shot this Pokemon there. But we're still going to be able to align ourselves, which is kind of nice. We're going to have the Discharge coming through. It's going to be okay here. The thing is with Wigglytuff, a lot of times Wigglytuff is paired with a Mud Slapper, which I should have most more predicted here at this point. I definitely could have most predicted this a little bit better. And yes, they're going to have the Mamoswine in the back. I still think I would have lost no matter what. And yes, this is like the craziest Mud Slapper that I've seen. And of course, we nearly get two-shot by the fast move here, as that is game over. Anyway, next opponent. I'm fairly certain that this opponent actually saw my team beforehand, because I saw them talking on Twitter basically that they went up against me, but I didn't do any fast moves against them the entire time. The thing is, that's just something that happens sometimes as well. The invite feature is quite bugged. Like, the invite feature is quite bugged. Actually, Niantic recently, like literally this is the first time I actually saw that, made a fix for it a little bit, which was really, really cool. In terms of now when like multiple people send you invites, always the recent invite is going to be the top one. Before, like, all of the expired ones were already like stacked on top of each other, and it basically broke the entire game the entire time for me, which took like ages for me to actually get battles in. Now this is way faster and more consistent, but sometimes still players get into battles with me, and I'm not in the battle with them for whatever reason. So it's still not perfect, but it's definitely way better than before. But this player most likely saw my team already before, based on what they said on Twitter. Maybe they didn't go through, but I definitely know that they queued up against me and they went into a battle with me where they didn't see me battling, which is what it is. Like, it's the Niantic's era. Like, again, I'm not going to be sad about anything that happens here in test battles. I'm a little bit sad that I'm going to lose a battle here by 1 HP on this opponent's Dragon Knight. I still think this battle was okay. This is like the one battle where I was really kind of upset because I am going to lose this battle here, spoiler alert, based on me making a really, really stupid mistake based on me not having any attention. This was, by the way, when I tried to fix a Nintendo Switch, so sorry about this one. Opponent here, Darksider, also someone who follows this channel for long time already, so shoutouts to you. I'm kind of sad that things went kind of how they went, but it is what it is. You'll see it here very soon. Wild Shot's coming through, it's going to knock us out. It's kind of okay, we're gonna be able to do this. Why do, like, here, it's just button press on this one was completely nonsense. Like, there's no reason to do any of this. And this is going to cost us the game here already, where I was like, yeah, well, like, there's no reason to shield at all. And look at this, we don't even get the fast move through there because I got distracted trying to fix a Nintendo Switch for someone. Yeah, as you guys see here, we're still going to try our best. I still think Toxtricity has a lot of play here. We would have been able to win this battle guaranteed, basically, without shielding up a mirror shot. But yeah, good game there, for sure. I still think Toxtricity has a lot of play in the current Great League meta. I still think it's a Pokemon that you should try to get. If you don't know how to get this Pokemon through raids currently, which you can only get through remote raids, but also later on through X, and like also they're going to be globally available in raids as well. I want to talk a little bit about the team here. I think the last 4 battles are actually battles that I definitely did with full attention span, which is kind of nice, because I asked again on Twitter to get some more battles and to get a little bit more gameplay for today's video. As you can see, it's a little bit longer now as well. We have very cool battles coming up here now as well. Still, if you're still watching, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate this one. Helps the channel out. It is free. Just is very nice. Thank you, please. Thank you. Thanks. Anyway, you're going to see a lot of very good battles here. The one issue with this team is other Mudstep users, and I thought here with this team that I would be able to bait them out with the Charger Bug and try to punish them. Mainly, I was thinking about Pokemon like Gastrodon, where Charger Bug is not too bad against. Turns out, of course, Mudstep users been everywhere here today, but also that I feel like it would be better to pair Toxtricity with a Flying type Pokemon. That's something that I definitely kind of noticed while playing today. I think a Flying type Pokemon would be a bit of a better fit for Toxtricity, because it's going to allow you, when you swap out, to guarantee get out the Mudsteppers, as I don't want to battle any Flying type Pokemon as double resisted on it. So I think they're going to be a little bit better of a combination, maybe something like a Drifblim. Next opponent, good friend me, Weedle here as well. Always copy them teams, but also, yeah, I know them from so many tournaments at this point already. Very likely gonna see them again. Then in February, I'm gonna be at EOIC as well, so hopefully I'm gonna see you there as well. I'm not too sure if I can fully compete there, by the way, but I'm definitely gonna be there. But yeah, hopefully I'm going to be able to compete. I'm not going to be going towards the final, most likely going to already leave London early morning on Sunday, where the finals would be. So I'm only going to be there for day 1 and day 2. Still going to try to compete because I don't think I'm going to get to the finals anyway. So, but anyway, definitely if you're at EOIC, I'm going to be there as well. Just say hello. And yeah, would be kind of cool to see you all there. Anyway, we're going to see here Diggersby against us, and we have to keep alignment here, and we have to kind of get this Pokemon gone there as well, because as you're going to see in the back, we have a Pokemon that definitely doesn't appreciate any ground-type Pokemon, and they decide to use a shield here, and with their Diggersby, and it's not really looking too good for us. We'll see the Fire Punch coming through. I can still at least go ahead and use a shield here again. Great play by them by using a shield there before as well. I'm curious what they have in the back. At least we're hopefully going to be able to see that still. I think they're not going to be able to knock us out in time here. We're going to at least see the final Pokemon from them. It is going to be the Feraligatr. And again here, we're sadly just going to get one shot by basically everything. And if we're not in a position where we have shield advantage, it's going to be a bit tricky for this Pokemon here. And that's the thing as well, which I just want to say about this one. I do think that this Pokemon has more potential that I can showcase here today. I do think that the team is not as perfect around it, but it's also very tricky to kind of build a perfect team there as well around this Pokemon, because I was looking into stuff as well. I was looking into Drifblim, for example, as well as Elite. I took my time to try to build a team with it as well, but there was not really a core which wasn't broken by a single Pokemon. And that was mainly my issue. Like, if I would have went for Drifblim and Elite here, I would have got completely core broken by a Dunsparce, for example, or also by Feraligatr would have been a little bit more tricky, not as core breaker because they have 2 electric types in the back, but like especially our Toxtricity doesn't have the greatest matchup there. So like there are always a little bit of issues with this, and so that's the one reason why I decided to go for the Marowak, mainly because of all of the rollout users, as I know that I have a weakness to those. But I feel like there could be maybe a better team that we figure out along the way with this Pokemon, but I still like Toxtricity quite a bit. And I feel like also, if I had better IVs or not, of course this is like raid IVs because I got it from a remote raid from the current event that is going on there in Japan. But also, I feel like if you got better IVs on this Pokemon, which you can only get through trading, I feel like you would be able to maybe even do a bit more with it, because I feel like a lot of times like the few HP were missing for me to really win battles. And so here, for example, if I had just a few more HP, I would have been able to win this battle as well. Final battle against Icelandic Lapras. Shout out to you as well. I was really happy that I was able to battle them again here as well. We battled at my last regional in Dortmund and I lost. And let me tell you, those battles that we did were ridiculous. Basically, my team in Dortmund was a team around a Raquanet, a Pokemon that takes a long time to take down, takes a long time to play against. And basically, I had 3 Pokemon that I could run against their team out of my 6, the other just didn't make sense, and they had 3 Pokemon that they could run against my team, the other 3 didn't make sense. So we knew the opponent's teams the entire time, and we knew that we are gonna have long battles, but basically we were sitting there I think for over 20 minutes nearly, trying to do our battles, and they all went to timeout. And at the end of the day I lost with like 1 HP later on, and it was ridiculous, but it was definitely a funny experience to be like that's the thing as well. Like, I'm not someone who takes like losses very serious or anything like this. I know if my opponent is better and if stuff like this happens, I really don't mind losses. The only time where I mind losses is when it's due to lag. When this kind of stuff happens, and I'm kind of annoyed at it. But I'm never actually got ever annoyed, I think, by losing a battle in Go Battle League or like in regionals, if it wasn't based on some kind of lag issue, which happened to be as well before in regionals, which really cost me 1 regional early on in the Pokemon Go stages. But yeah, I was really appreciating that battle. I think it was a fun one. Over 20 minutes of just stalling out and going to timeout the entire time. Here, sadly, I'm going to lose this battle as well. But good games to Icelandic Lapras. Always like playing against you. And this is going to be it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun battling you all. Again, I'm a little bit sorry for like the few players where I was not really paying too much attention. Of course, I having here online battles against other players, and they are waiting for me to battle them. I don't really want to let them wait. That's why I couldn't really stop it. But thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for staying in battles, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.